Welcome to Wealth Made Simple with Shaz, where you'll learn how to master your money through business, property, and tax-saving strategies. Your host has collectively helped his clients make tens of millions of pounds in additional profits through these strategic approaches to business. Introducing Shaz Nawaz, an award-winning chartered accountant, property tax expert, entrepreneur, and property investor.
This week on Wealth Made Simple, we're talking about marketing and how you can use marketing to create wealth.
Absolutely.
How about that for a topic, Kieron?
I know, bizarre. It's almost like we discussed this on
Last week or something, and it just
I
came
know.
to us and thought, why don't we talk about marketing? How could we miss that out?
Imagine promising someone that you're going to talk about it and then actually talking about it.
The following week and doing some research
Oh, I don't know about that.
and preparing.
I mean, careful now, careful.
It's so slick, it comes across as though we know everything about it, eh?
Well, I know
Or as much as we can cover.
I know a little about marketing,
Yeah.
and marketing's one of those. I think it's an interesting topic when you actually break it down and step away from the surface view of marketing, because a lot of you name someone, have you ever received a marketing email? Chances are yes.
Lots of them is what people usually.
Have you ever received a cold call, a marketing phone call? Yeah, they're irritating, they're annoying, I wish they would stop, somebody should make them illegal, blah blah blah. Yeah, all the negativity that comes along with marketing, and a lot of people put a lot of the marketing ideas hand in hand with scams. And what I find interesting is marketing as an umbrella there is no scam involved. It's very simple. I've got something you need, you've got something I want. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm going to sell you what I've got because you need it and it will benefit you, and in return I get some of your money.
Or you want it, and you just don't know yet. And my job is to inform, educate, advise, show you the right way.
And that's fundamentally all marketing is information. It's a transfer of information, but it's also when you get deep into it, it's more about human psychology. So it's
all about human psychology.
Yeah, as we've discussed many times, mindset. Well, this feeds right into it. Marketing is all about mindset and creating a mindset in others. And that's what separates it from, individual mindset into marketing. My mindset is that, growth mindset, wealth mindset, all the rest of it. And okay, that's fine for me. I'm within myself. If I want somebody else to have that mindset, I need to market my mindset to make other people see things the way I do.
Or to at least share your view.
Or at least share my view. Yeah, absolutely.
So generally speaking, I think from my point of view, Kieron, for anybody who isn't, and obviously people use the word sales and marketing, or the word sales and marketing together in conjunction.
Yes.
And marketing, from my point of view, is everything that one does from identifying a prospect or a lead all the way up until when somebody sat in front of you. Okay, that's the job of marketing, to get them in front of you, physically, virtually, however you want to do it. And then from there on, the sales process takes place up until when they choose to buy or not buy. So it's getting their attention and then getting them in a place where they are interested in talking to you about possibly buying something. And of course, not everybody's going to do that, but you just got to work the numbers.
Yeah, and in an ideal world, in a perfect world, marketing is just another form of communication. And it's about delivering and exchanging value that satisfies somebody else's needs that you hold and they want. And it's a fair and honest exchange. And so there's nothing duplicitous.
Teeth back in?
Teeth back in, yep. Getting old now. But that's what it is. It's just a passing of knowledge. Now, I mean, marketing, whether you like it or not, is immensely powerful. I mean, it changes the world. It really, really does.
Well, you're selling an idea, aren't you, in a roundabout way, once you get to understand it. And as you know, I'm a big fan of direct response. Some people call it direct marketing, some people call it direct response, because you can quantify it.
Yes.
And in very simple terms, direct response is when I write to you and then attempt to evoke some kind of a reaction or response from you. I then track and measure that, which we're going to talk about in detail. And I can then see which part of my marketing is working, which isn't working, which needs to improve, which I can enhance. And there's a clear return on investment.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who initially don't understand marketing confuse it and conflate it with brand building.
Two different things.
Yeah, and
same umbrella, but
yeah. So for me, very simple terms, especially, I mean, generally speaking, our audience here tends to be small business owners, whatever their business may be, whether it's property, general, something else. So we'll focus on that particular demographic, because that's what marketing is about. It's having a clear
understanding of your demographic.
Persona, demographic, avatar, who they are. And, having a billboard somewhere, okay, sponsoring a football team, for example, sponsoring a football stadium, as some of the large corporates do, and having other forms of advertising, be on TV, radio, wherever, move away from direct response, where there's an offer and they have to respond, works well for the big companies. But if you think of large soft drink companies, airlines, banks, whichever large corporates you think about, they've got to spend a fair few pounds every year, okay, to get their name out there so people remember it all the time, okay? Whereas
and I mean, some companies have done that exceptionally well, and we'll go through a few a bit later on. Remind me.
Whereas you and I, Kieron, have a limited budget. For the purpose of this conversation here, let's just take an average. Small company may have anywhere from, let's say, £1,000 to £50,000. Some have a larger budget because they're based clearly on direct response. So we need to make sure we spend those ad pounds, dollars very, very sensibly, so we get a very clear return. So you've got to spend your money to make sure you get some kind of return. And marketing, very simply, is you're exchanging your pounds, okay, for business going forward. So it's business growth more than anything else. And the first conversation I usually have with people is it better for you to spend those pounds on marketing to get customers, clients, patients, tenants, call them what you like, versus buying another company, okay?
Yeah.
And then bringing that on board with the challenges that
existing customer base.
Yes, and gets you market penetration quickly. Which one's better for you? And the answer is going to be different for every single person, depending on what they're looking to do.
It depends.
It depends. Everything. Too many shades of grey. So that's where pretty much marketing starts from my point of view. But if you want to share some examples, and then we'll go do a deep dive into some of the direct response stuff and some of the more general marketing ideas.
Yeah, I mean, once you've done your market research, you target your audience, you understand the behavior, you can create your products and services based around what they want and what they need, rather than just throwing something aimlessly out that, oh, I really wanted to create this, so create it and they will come. It doesn't always work. You've got to actually put some understanding behind it. So market research. Yeah, market research, marketing, same thing. But I mean, you look at when I say marketing has changed the world and changed the world in which the way we see it. If I said to you in a little bit of a jingle, holidays are coming, you know exactly what brand and what lorry is coming down that road.
Yes.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And I think everyone listening will know.
They do.
Will know that. Prior to that company's existence, Santa Claus was green.
And then he became red.
Santa Claus is
dressed in red, by the way.
Santa Claus is not jolly dressed in red, or not just any red. That is Coca-Cola red.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. All right. Oh, I had something else in my mind. Okay.
But that is very specifically Santa Claus's Coca-Cola Red. They changed the colour of a global figure through marketing.
Big, isn't it? Yeah.
That's huge.
And every year we have a conversation. I see I see it on social media. People have a conversation about that particular advert and about that particular van, truck, lorry, call it whatever you like, depending on which part of the world you're from.
Christmas starts when that advert starts.
Yeah, people talk about it, don't they?
Yeah.
And that's what brand building and real good marketing is, to get people to talk about it. But you've got to get to a place in order to do that.
Another one. Just do it.
Yep.
You know the brand. And this is the power of marketing when it's done well, when it's done right. And what's interesting about both those scenarios...
Well, does Michael Jordan just do it? Come on. I'll stop there.
Yeah, maybe. What's interesting about both those scenarios is neither of them are selling a product.
Yep.
The byproduct is, the company's, brand awareness goes up. People know who they are. People know what they do. All the rest of it. But neither of those, the holidays are coming. It's the real thing. Okay. It's information, but it's not selling. Just do it.
Yeah.
It's one line. It's not selling anything. But you remember it.
And it's creating and recognizing great athletes and sporting personalities.
Yeah.
That's the inherent idea that they're selling within the physical product.
Through
the physical product.
And this is where I'm going to be very careful about going down a rabbit hole here.
That'd be a first.
Yeah, I know. But all of these adverts and, all of the marketing like that, it's never about the product. It's about the feeling. It's about the aspiration. And that's part and parcel of why good marketing brings wealth. Because if you can make someone feel good, they're going to come back for more.
Absolutely.
You make them hungry. Look at any fast food advert, KFC, McDonald's, Burger King, Wimpy, Subway, the rest of them. They invoke your hunger. But again, a lot of it is, so this is what we've got. Look at how good this tastes. Imagine eating this. Imagine having this. They're putting the food in your brain.
Where's the best place to park a burger van, Kieron?
Outside a nightclub. Kicking out time.
Yeah, near hungry people.
Yeah.
Obviously, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's how marketing has to work. Where's the hungry crowd?
And okay, you generalised it out near hungry people. I refined that into a much clearer, broader... I'm not going to go around hunting for hungry people. I know that when people leave a nightclub at 3 o'clock in the morning...
They're hungry.
They're hungry. And a lot of them want water. A lot of them want refreshment.
A lift home.
Well, but taxis go to nightclubs.
Yeah.
Because they know that's where the customers are. They don't park next to a field and wait for customers.
Unless it's the beer fest in Peterborough. Once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah. But you're right. And I think with that, let's talk about small business.
Yep.
And then you can share some of the examples that you've got about bigger business and how they've changed ideas and how people see things. So from a small business point of view, I think when people are spending their ad budget, one of the really important things that they ought to pay attention to is the copy.
Yes.
I think it's incredibly important.
I think it's the most important thing.
Way too many people want to have a go themselves, or they want to skimp on that, and I think that's a big mistake by far.
I think if a company had, say, £1,000 ad budget, I would rather pay £800 for superb copy and £200 in ads than pay £200 for copy and £800 on ads. Because the first way round will get me a much, much, much better return.
Yeah, great copy sells, and it's worth making that investment. So I think people need to pay attention to that, whether they want to learn copywriting themselves. Whether they
Copywriting is a dark art.
Yeah, whether they want to hire. I mean, some people have an interest, aren't they?
I'm not going to lie. I'm not as good as I want to be with copy, and I understand that. So, and as much as research and I've looked into it, and I understand the concepts. It's still a dark art to me. It's still, somebody who can create good copy just like that, and it takes experience, it takes knowledge, it takes understanding.
And there's a process they follow.
Yeah, there is. Success leaves clues.
Yeah.
Successful copy leaves written clues.
If you look at it, pay attention. That's absolutely. And the more detail that you have, and the better you become, you'll see why that's happening. And there was a guy called Ted Nicholas who and did a lot of work on copywriting, and I think I heard from him the first time this being said, and he said once you've written the copy, reviewed it, okay, and then you're doing a second review or a further review, then every single word should fight for its existence and its right to be in that piece of copy. If it doesn't, and it doesn't justify itself, take it out.
Fair.
That's how ruthless you have to be with the copy. And as you know, the English language, and we don't want to go down this rabbit hole either, is very vast. So for any one word that you choose, you have an option, or anyway, let's say from 2 words to maybe 30, 40, 50 plus words.
Yeah.
And every single word will evoke a different type of emotion or feeling.
Yep.
So it's choosing the right one in that tone with what you're looking to achieve. That's going to get you the best response.
Yeah, I mean, prime example, and we've discussed this at length a number of times. Prime example of picking the right words is the House of Mouse.
Yeah.
You go anywhere there, and it's not. They never say welcome back. They never say just welcome. Welcome home.
That's right. You're home.
This is where you belong. This is where your heart is. Welcome home.
And they're pretty much right.
And people, it evokes that emotional response. And that's what a lot of marketing is evoking an emotional response to get, you take breakdown services. Imagine being stranded, cold, on the side of the road. Don't you want to be able to call on someone that you can rely on to get you out of that situation? Poles apart, welcome home, cold and wet on the side of the road. But they're for different things.
Yeah, and fear, alongside other emotions, is used a lot in copywriting.
Yes.
A lot. And once you know this and then you read copy, you pick it up.
Yeah.
But it's being stranded somewhere in the dark or something else to do with health, family, whatever it is, finances, and that it gets people to move. And there's 2 things that get people to move quicker than anything else. Okay.
Hope and fear.
In a roundabout way, absolutely. Yeah. Pain and gain.
Pain and gain.
Okay?
Yeah.
And gain gets people to move quicker, pain, than gain. But gain allows people to continue moving something. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
one is a spark. One is considered.
Yeah.
One is.
So using different emotions and the 7 deadly sins, so to speak, you use those in your copy with the E factors, the emotion factors, and you're onto something.
Yeah, and when you're looking at your copy and you're looking at stuff, things like that for your own small business, whether it's for property for tenants or something like that, always look at it and go, how does that make me feel? Because I promise you now, the second you start asking that question, your entire view of your copy will change. How does that make me feel?
And get the people to read it as well.
Yeah. Kids go to, want to go to McDonald's because they do a happy meal. That meal will make me happy.
What I would tell you on that point, though, Kieron, is a lot of people say to me, yeah, but by reading that, I wouldn't buy this. And okay, service, product, whatever. And I said, but you are not your customer.
No.
You are not your customer. You're different. And a lot of people don't get that because they always apply. But that wouldn't make me do anything. That's because you don't buy your own stuff. Other people do, and you need to be clear on who they are and be clear on that avatar persona.
This goes right back to your market research right at the beginning. Who are you advertising to?
And in terms of the avatar, it's being clear on the demographics, okay? Age, where they live, the education level, so on and so forth. And then the psychographics, about how they think, what they believe, what are their values, what are their thoughts, what keeps them up at night, what do they want, where's the pain, where's the gain. So all of this, so you very clearly create a persona, and let's just call it Kieron. So Kieron is that avatar. So when you write that copy, you're writing directly to Kieron.
Yeah. And when
When Ken reads it, he'll
connects.
evoke that emotion once you use the correct process, language, and Kieron will say, this is written like it was written uniquely, specifically for me. Ka-ching.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, I mean, slightly off-piste now. Years ago when, when everybody bought a newspaper regularly, the back of the newspaper, horoscopes. Horoscopes, they're not marketing, but they are marketing. If you ever read one of those horoscopes, they're emotive enough, but vague enough
Generally, yeah.
to apply to just about everyone.
Yeah.
But they understood that they had to evoke an emotion. Yeah. Or with this happening and Venus is strong in your aura this month, you're going to
no idea what you're talking about, by the way.
have absolute success at something that you didn't think you were going to try.
I only read the sports page and the business pages, by the way, Kieron.
And, people will read that and go, I'm going to try something new. It becomes self-fulfilling. But then they attribute it back to, but my horoscope said this. Did it though? They used some very clever wording. That's what they did.
And got you to move.
And they got you to move.
Yeah. So now we're on the copy and kind of finishing off. And we can do a whole show on copy, by the way, at some point, possibly, depending on where this takes us. But
Well, maybe we'll do a webinar on copy if people want it.
yeah, why not? 'Cause that'll be more interesting. And with that, and then we'll move on to other parts of marketing and ROI, is spend a lot of time on your headline, if nothing else.
Yes. Yeah. Your headline is the attention grabber.
Yeah.
And
And the easy way to do it is read loads of headlines in newspapers,
yeah.
tabloids, broadsheet, the whole lot.
And the other thing to do is when you're looking at your demographic, your customer, your avatar, and you're not sure where to find them or what to do, Facebook groups, social media groups, YouTube channels, anything like Instagram, TikTok, anywhere where groups of people reside, you will find your customer, your avatar, your people. Read what they're saying. Read what language they are using. Speak to them.
Meet them where they are.
Speak to them in their language.
You have to, in their language, and meet them where they are. Because when you meet them where they are, they think, this is for me. This person gets me. They understand me. They know exactly where I am right now. Then you take them on a journey. And then when you're meeting them at a different place, they're not there mentally at that time.
It's very difficult to bridge that gap.
And then you're not going to resonate. You're not going to connect with them. And in my view, then you haven't earned the right to grab their attention.
Well, I mean, you talk a lot about tax and you do a lot of tax talks and you connect well with a lot of people because you don't, and I've seen a number of your talks, very a large number, but you don't speak to people in tax talk. You don't go into, okay, so when
Section 24, Income Taxes Act, 1964, whatever.
Exactly,
that, by the way.
But you don't regurgitate it in legalese. And so people find it easier to understand and digest what you're saying.
Because people would get bored with that type of presentation. And that also is a form of marketing, as you know, even though you're giving content and valuable information.
Yeah.
But they want to know, how does it benefit me? What's in it for me? That radio station YFM, which everybody wants to connect to. Okay, what's in it for me is incredibly important. And the minute you focus on people, you'll get a better response. We're going to focus more on how people go about marketing and how they track and measure. So now we've got somebody's got a persona avatar, so they know who their ideal
We've got a perfect customer.
Customer is. They've invested some money in writing copy and to sell an end product, or let's call it end goal. We call it goal.
Yeah.
Next step, or whatever you want to call it. They've got that, and then now they're thinking, okay, who do I write to? Who is this going out to? Is it going out online or offline? And sometimes people aren't sure. And my view is do both.
Do both. Always do both, if you can.
Absolutely. Well, I'd say spread the budget if you can. It doesn't have to be 50-50, but spread it in some kind of a proportional way. And
I think depending on your product, depends on which ratio you should do. But in general, and like I said, I am generalizing. I can't speak for every business here, but I get 300-400 emails a day.
Stop subscribing to stuff. Can't help it, can you?
I can't help it. But I get 1 or 2 letters a month.
Yeah.
If that.
That's because junk mail is what people call it through the post has reduced over the years. I'm seeing an increase now, by the way.
Yeah, I am.
Because there's less noise.
Less competition.
Less noise, exactly. Whereas you got loads of emails and you're being drowned, but everybody wants to say, let's send an email. Why? Because it's free.
It's free
and that
and easy.
defeats the objective, which we're going to cover or talk about when we talk about ROI. So some of the options that people have, and I'm not going to cover every single one, is you can rent or hire a list.
Yeah.
Okay, and different people have a different view on that. Okay, I'm not here to share a view, but you can test that. You've then obviously got your online communities on any of the online platforms which take adverts and take your money, and you can then test it and see what response you get from the different platforms. Some will outperform others depending on what you're selling and how good your copy is and how good your price is.
Some will outperform others depending on what time of year it is.
Yeah, exactly, that's right. And what the offer is. And then, of course, you can build and nurture your own list. Like you said, you get 300 or 400 emails per day because you've subscribed to something like a lead magnet or some kind of an offer where someone says, give me your email address, and in exchange you can have this, whether it's a webinar, a video, a free report, a guide, how to, some kind of an Excel document in terms of a property appraisal sheet when we talk about property, for example, or something else. There's lots of different free magnets. And then you give your email and think it's a worthy exchange, my email, for your free gift or lead magnet.
And this is at the other end of the spectrum, why I have dump email addresses to get me the free thing, and then I don't log back into that email until I sign up for something else because I want something else for free. And I never read anything else that comes through it. It's there expressly for the purpose of what I want.
We don't want people like you, Kieron, in our world. We want people who are going to download it and then read the copy. But if the copy was good enough, one could argue.
And this is where I was.
It might hook you.
This is where I was going with it. There are a couple in there that, understanding marketing, they have got really good copy, and they've got really good offers, really well crafted emails, really well defined, and those have been transferred to my main email. I don't mind accepting those newsletters, those offers,
because they're giving you more valuable information.
Because they're giving me, because I get more.
And what's really important is you have to have a process for your marketing. So a funnel, which is what we're kind of talking about here at the top, and then trickling down. But also having a process for next step, because every step should be, I'll use the word selling loosely. Okay, moving people on to the next
step,
or selling them to the next step, next stage. And it's not going to be, I see you, Kieron, or let's say you've gone on a date with somebody, for example, okay, or you're meeting somebody, someone introduced you. After meeting them the first time, highly unlikely you're then going to be talking to them about getting married to them. Once you got to know them a little bit, okay,
Yeah.
then that conversation may take place. Because from the first meeting, no one, generally speaking, okay, in this country here talks about marriage.
Unless you're on the TV show Married at First Sight.
Well, there could be different reasons. By the way, you could be saying, "I want to get married," and another person, whoever they are, says, "I want to get married," and then a matchmaker puts you together with that in mind. But for most people in this country here, that doesn't happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
this,
that's what marketing is.
And
from that first contact all the way up until when they get married. Go on.
Yeah. And although I was being facetious about that last point about, there are people out there that there was a purpose to being facetious. And that purpose was whatever marketing you do, there will always be somebody, within the community, within the group that you're marketing to that says, yeah, but I don't like that. And that's okay.
Cool. You don't want them.
And that was the point of that is what Shaz was saying, generally, yeah, absolutely right, 100% right. But there is always that one person that goes, oh yeah, but what about this exception? Oh, okay, well done. Congratulations, you found an exception. Moving on, because everybody else likes what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And understanding that you don't have to please everyone.
Hence why you have a conversion rate. And it ain't going to be 100%. Okay.
And if it is, tell me who your copywriter is.
And change the offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you say 100%, then
it's too good.
Too good. It's changing and improving. So now we've got, let's call it a list, okay?
Yep.
Or a platform. So you're marketing to them, and then you're spending money, okay, whether it's direct mail or it's online. And then once you spend that money, you want to see how many people it went to and what the response was, so you can track that.
Yep.
And that's most important.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, when you're looking at that, I mean, when you send an email out via a marketing campaign, you can track how many of those were opened. Yep. Not necessarily who buy.
Click-throughs, everything, yeah.
But click-throughs, how many were opened, how many were responded to, how many were ignored, how many were opened on the second sending.
Mm-hmm.
And
so on and so forth. It's sophisticated and detailed.
Yeah. But it allows you to build up an idea of what's working, what's not working.
If you pay attention.
Yeah. If I send, I mean, we'll use one of the companies that I whitelisted from my dump emails to my main emails, and the purpose behind it was, I subscribed.
How to grow your beard? Is that the one that stuck?
It was not.
And
the
it
one
worked?
That stuck. It did work. No, it was a technology company, and I've been following them on socials because I like some of the new stuff they're coming out with, what they're doing. But I'm not really interested. Wasn't really interested in the newsletter. I roughly browsed through my dump emails. Kieron, would you like the opportunity? Okay, now you have my attention. Well, I know I've opened that now. Do I want the opportunity to work with you? Yes, absolutely. And suddenly, they're talking about, and yes, it's a marketing email. I understand it's a marketing email. I know it's a marketing email. But do you want the opportunity to work with us and help test this product? We'll send you one for free.
And that's the kind of stuff that works for you, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Now you're on the safe sender email list.
Yeah.
Because you're giving me something of value that I value. The company doesn't necessarily value that. What they value
then
is my response.
They get that. And this is why, in terms of the offer, you've got to make sure it's a remarkable, and generally in marketing, they refer to it as an irresistible offer.
Yep.
Where people just can't say no. Okay. And there are lots of people within the small business marketing field who will say the initial item, make it a loss leader. No brainer, loss leader. Because with everything that we've talked about in this particular episode, the really important thing to understand, Kieron, is the lifetime value of a client or a customer or a patient or tenant, call them what you like. So if I'm spending £500 on average, and again, this is tracking, and we'll get to how you get to that £500 number, as whatever the number may be, okay? I then look at what's the lifetime value of a client, and you're going to track this over time and then get to a accurate number or accurate-ish number where you know for every £500 I spend to get a customer, this is how much they're worth, and that number could be 1,000, 1,500, 5 grand, 10 grand, whatever it may be. Okay, in direct proportion, and that's what you're doing. You're spending money now to generate a revenue stream going forward. It's an investment.
Yeah, and if you do it morally, ethically well, and it's something that I see it a lot, especially with small companies, is they're very company centric, and the employees are very company centric. And it was Sir Richard Branson, who said, train your employees so well that they can go anywhere, treat them so well that they don't want to. The better you treat your employees, the happier they'll be, and the better they'll treat your customers. And those customers will become lifelong, loyal customers.
That's right.
And so many companies miss that because they're so blinkered by penny pinching and keeping costs down and keeping costs low. And I'm not saying go extravagant and start being silly with your money, but I am saying that sometimes you need to look at what it is you're doing, and your employees, when they're working for you and when they're talking to customers, are marketing your company. They are representing you.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because I think what's important is when you're tracking those numbers, it is to kind of track the response rate very, very carefully.
Yeah.
And so coming back to the earlier example, you love these rabbit holes, don't you?
I do.
I think you do it on purpose, just to see how far I'm going to entertain you.
And you do entertain me on a daily basis.
I have to humour you, Kieran. Okay, that's part of my ethos. And so first thing's gone out with an offer.
We're not going to talk about the rabbit holes Shaz goes down, no?
Rabbit holes? It's all designed, created like a perfect marketing system. Okay, if there ever is one. And, or was one. And look at the response. How many people downloaded the report? Okay, now they've done that, what do we do? Do we now send them a chain of emails? Do we want to get their address and send them something through direct mail, some lumpy mail or post, okay, to engage them? And then through those email chains, don't be tempted straight away to say, let's sell them something ASAP. I'd say what you want to be doing is build a relationship, make them part, like I think what you said earlier in the first half, make them part of the family, the tribe,
welcome
the community.
home.
Yeah, welcome home, here we go. And then through that, some of it, obviously, you want to sell stuff as well. And then at each stage, look at how that's working out, and then change, tweak, but be it the offer, be it something else that's going to help you to improve the overall conversion rate. And then once you've got we'll call it client. When you've got the client, how long are they staying for? And then all the different things you can do, okay, to keep that client there for longer. Linked with that, of course, you've got cross-selling, upselling, other services that you can introduce them to. And now it opens up a plethora of opportunities where a very small business where you've got 50 customers, for example, or clients, okay, now are making you more money than 200 clients where you didn't have a well-designed, well-oiled machine system to give huge value to your client base.
Yeah, and notice how, and this is something that, again, a lot of people gloss over. When we're talking about marketing to someone or marketing to people, marketing to your avatar, understanding your client, understanding your customer, we're always talking about how we are adding value to them. This isn't about, understanding marketing and making a quick money grab. This is about doing what is best for your client, for your customer, and making sure that they are looked after in a manner that they want to be looked after.
There's too much noise today, Kieran, in the marketplace, especially online, where if you try and do something which isn't enhancing, adding value, you're going to spend a lot of money and you're going to waste it.
Yeah.
Okay? So you got to craft as much or spend as much time crafting the offer as you do the ad copy
And
make it relevant.
yeah, and also as long as you are looking after your customer, then your customers will, look after you. And if your customers base builds, slowly but steadily, but you can treat each customer to the highest value of your ability, etc., 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 then you will do far better in the long run than getting 10,000 customers tomorrow, but you don't get to all of them and you don't get to speak to all, you don't know your customer, you don't understand what they want, and you just throw money at them.
Yeah, and you were talking about cost cutting, but you want to make another point, so take me down another rabbit hole. Go on.
And those 10,000 customers that, don't feel like they've been valued will talk. And bad news and bad press travels almost as fast as the speed of light, I'm sure of it. Good news and good press travels to maybe 2 people from that one person.
Yeah, over the next 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you cultivate a referral-based program to get them to talk about you in a positive way, which is for another episode, by the way.
Yes,
so
it is.
You talked about cost cutting, and it's interesting when things are tight, whether it's cost of living crisis or something else, by the way.
And that's an interesting marketing.
I know, it is, absolutely, yeah. And we, straight away, one of the first people is, well, cut the marketing spend then, shall we? Okay.
Yeah, no.
I would say, you want to say, well, we need to cut stuff, okay? Let's see where we can cut and how we can double the marketing spend, because we know, okay, if you followed what we've said here, and we've kept it pretty light and brief today, we haven't gone into the deep dive, you know how much it costs you to get a customer, okay, or a client, and you know what the lifetime value is. So you ought to be thinking, how much of this money can I spend per customer that I get, okay, to get to the end value over a number of years? It's a pure investment, because that's going to help you scale up. And it's just like buying a property. Okay, you've got the asset, client base. Now you've got cash flow, and at the end, if you look to sell your business,
you've got capital gain.
You've got exit value.
Yeah, and that's there. When you're looking at it, because you're absolutely right. When these things happen, the first thing that goes is the marketing budget. But if you drill deep down, and I'm going to gloss over this real quick, but I'm going to throw some numbers at you guys now. If I said to a business owner, small business owner, okay, it costs you £50 to get a client for one time, but their average spend is £75. So each client at that point makes you £25. Not a great return on investment, but the value proposition is there. Now, if we rework this and it now costs you £500 for that client, but that client becomes a lifetime client and over their lifetime spends £7,500, suddenly you've not made £25, you've changed your entire business. Yeah. And can you afford not to do that if you're now struggling? Yeah,
absolutely. And obviously you've got to make sure you can obviously
stay
that course. So some of the important, I think, metrics in that initial conversation is looking at the cost per lead. Okay.
Yep.
So total spend divided by how many leads we've got, cost per lead. Then cost per acquisition or sale. How much money from the time that they've raised their hand and self-identified, I'm interested, this piques my interest from someone like you, I just want the free report, to somebody who may be more interested at that time, we don't know. From there, to get them to have a sales conversation and then to convert them to a client. So that number is important. The average transaction size, especially for the first purchase and subsequent purchases, is important. And then, as we've said earlier, the lifetime value of that particular client is extremely important, because my view has always been, Kieron, for a long time now, having spent a lot of money on marketing, invested, sometimes felt like wasted, by the way, because we're testing and trialing, is if you can outspend all your other competitors, okay, on getting customers, you're going to win that race.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Okay. And it's not about how can I spend less. It's costing me £3 per lead. How can I make it £1.80? But if it's a quality lead and the lifetime value is working for you, and the average transaction size is working for you, and the conversion rate's working for you, and there are a lot of things you can do to change those. Well, I ought to be saying to you, if it's £3, well, how about if we make it $3.50 and add some more bells and whistles to that particular process? I wonder what that does to your conversion.
Yeah.
Because if it increases your conversion, let's just say by 5%, maybe it's worth it. And as you know, with these things, I need a spreadsheet. I mean, it might not be 5%, it might be 7.5%. I don't know. I'm just sharing an example here. Now let's see what happens. And test that. And then do that alongside every single step and think, okay, the conversion on each step is, let's say, 4%. And it's never going to be the exact same. How do you make 4%? 4.5%, 5%, and what does that do to the overall numbers in that funnel? Okay, and what happens to the end number of customers times the lifetime value? Okay, and what number does that get to you in terms of your turnover over a particular period? Total game changer. And management by numbers, Kieron, is the only way to run a business, and the only way, I believe, to run proper marketing direct response way.
I completely agree with you, and I'm just going to add something to that, just to expand on it, if you will, and that is that. Go back to a previous episode, listen to some of the previous episodes, and I'm talking specifically about the episode where we discussed systemization, processes and systemization, because and the reason why I say that's very important, and you need to go back and re-listen to that alongside this whole thing about marketing, is if that £3 becomes £3.50 and increases your conversion rate by 5%, for example, then that's fantastic. But do you have the systems and processes in place to sustain that and to make sure that your customer still has and still gains the right value?
Absolutely.
And that high level of value. Because the last thing you want is to suddenly have an influx of, can your system handle 10% more customers, 5% more customers, 15% more customers, or does it break? At what level does it break down? And and there's no point rushing it and trying to get to, an extra 20% of customers if you can only handle an extra 10%.
Yep.
So find out where your limit is and go to that limit, make sure that everything's in place, make sure that everything's built, and then track, trace, measure, improve, tweak, change.
And that's what, and the
business by numbers.
Absolutely. And the single thing, and then never is a single thing, but the single one idea that transformed the way I see marketing is when I was in a conference at a conference in America, and one of the speakers who then became my mentor said, "You're not in the business of selling whatever you're selling." So in my case, accountancy services. You're not in the business of selling accountancy services. You're in the business of marketing accountancy services as a business owner, and that is transformed.
Think about that for a second.
Once that clicks, you think, "Wow, they're right." I'm not an accountant. I'm marketing accountancy services.
I mean, you are an accountant.
But you know what I mean.
But yeah.
My team, personnel, people are doing the accountancy work. My number one job as a small business owner is to market the service. And that's what I think is missing in a lot of small businesses, and why some of them struggle, because they see themselves as a technician, practitioner, hands-on, whichever business it may be. And that marketing element's always missing, because they think that is for really big companies who have a big ad budget and a corporate budget for doing this stuff. No, it applies to you as
you
a
cannot
small,
afford as a small business owner not.
Well, if you're standing still, you're going backwards, aren't you, in today's world? And that's been the case for a while. So we've covered a lot of stuff today in terms of marketing, from copy to talking about a bit about the process and where to go online, offline, and some of the numbers. And I think that if people listen to this, if they're interested, it's a complete game changer in how to run a business that's a well-oiled machine for sales and marketing. Because sales and marketing, and we haven't even looked at price yet, okay, and pricing strategies, okay. But that in itself, when you were talking about the value, once you get the right margins, you've got the margin there to add value into the customer service, to keep them longer and to give them more where they won't want to leave.
Thanks for listening to Wealth Made Simple. You can follow and contact Shaz on the Facebook pages Entrust Property Tax and The Profits Wizard. You can also find Shaz on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Alternatively, email him at shaz@aa-accountants.co.uk. Build your wealth by mastering money.